We'd received communication from Falmouth Coast Guard that the Scilly Boys were in trouble. Making the phone call that the guys were missing was just something that we didn't think for a second that we'd really have to do it. I remember the phone calls for the rest of my life. The one thing that people wanted was news that they were safe, and of course that's the one thing that we couldn't tell them. Effectively, they were lost at sea.
We'd been in the life raft for about 7 hours, and we was all tucked in beneath the foil blanket, all huddled together, and Joby thought he heard a foghorn.
I said that I'd got to be honest, I didn't think I heard anything, and he was absolutely adamant he heard it.
With everyone else saying they hadn't heard it, it makes you start to think, am I hearing things? Is that just what I want to hear? But
the raft was all over the place. There was waves, spray, wind. It's really horrid, but I continued to keep a good lookout with these claims of the foghorn, and then eventually I saw these two lights on the horizon.
We were thinking, please see us. What we're trying to signal you. They got to see us.
I took the first flare. I pointed it away from the wind direction slightly. I pulled the trigger and it went off.
The whole raft lights up. You can't see what's going on outside, and then we just started to hear this foghorn over and over again.
Every time you picked up on a wave, looking out through the side of the life raft, you could see this ship, and every time you came up a wave, it was getting closer and closer, and you're just thinking, this is a pretty big boat coming towards us now.
We said, I'll never swear again. I'll go to church on Sunday as soon as we get back, and all these things that you start to believe in it for once, and all the time up to it, you couldn't afford that because you didn't want to let yourself down. But suddenly you could think, right, okay, look, we've got a chance at this now.
Suddenly the phone call comes. They've been sighted, but it's not over yet. We've had instances in the past when people are almost there, and you think you've got them, but just hypothermia takes over. The will to live goes out of their body, their strength goes from their body. They just haven't got the energy to do it. It's not a done deal until they're on there. They're exhausted, they're tired, they're cold, they're disoriented. They most probably haven't eaten, they've been sick. It's just an awful, horrible situation.
I said to everyone, we need to get the hands working because we're probably going to have to climb up something, and we can't afford to have one slip because that's it. If you slip, you're in the water, there's no chance of rescue then.
Trying to transfer from a tiny life raft onto a huge cargo oil tanker is going to be a massive challenge.
We had big electric lights shining down on us, and the sea looked different because it had spotlights on it, and the wind was blowing the tops of the waves off.
I remember looking up and just couldn't believe how huge it was. It was about 14 or 15 metres to the gunnel of the boat, which is like a 4 or 5 story house.
We're both paddling hard to get closer to the ship.
Wayne was like waist out of it, and he was almost risking too much.
We were bouncing down the side of the ship. We were being forced onto the ship by the wind and the sea. I remember the noise of the waves and the wind hitting us and hitting the ship, but also the scraping of the rubber of the raft.
And we got blown underneath that, like a big belly of the ship at the stern, and we could hear the drone of the engines, and there was a lot of wash around the stern. Then we knew, me and Joby looked at each other, we pretty much simultaneously said, prop. We thought we was going to get sucked through the prop.
There's a massive big propeller, 7 or 8 metres in diameter, weighing many tons. It was the height of a double-decker bus, spinning around. If we make contact with that, it's going to chop us to pieces.
You could see the white water that the propeller was kicking up. And I thought, this could be it. We've come this far to be cut up by the propeller of the ship that's trying to save us, and it was real panic. And me and Wayne just paddled like hell trying to get away from it.
Thought if we did die, there's nothing we can do about it. Anything that was on our control, we had done, and we'd done it well. And this was now a point where we couldn't do anything about it. And you sort of, it's like, you just sort of rolled a dice. You just thought, what can we do about it?
One of the worries that I had was that if we had perished, if he'd gone into that propeller and died, there was a chance that the family wouldn't even know what had happened.
I just wanted to get away from it. Me and Joby just dug in hard, and anything to survive. Just beast your body as hard as you can just to get out of that situation.
This hugely intense panic then just stopped all of a sudden, and we just came away. And it's like we got spat out the end.
Can't emphasise the skill of the crew of that ship. They were back in alongside us within minutes.
The first rope they threw, Wayne grabbed, and the second one I got, and from that point there was no way we were letting go. If I'd had to, I would have climbed up the rope that I was holding on to get onto that boat.
There was a gangway being lowered, and I said, "I've got gangplank ready." He goes, "Okay, how far away is it?" And I said, like 20 metres.
They walked us back down alongside the ship.
I'm looking through the thing, counted down 15 metres, then they raised the gangplank, and I see a rope ladder just whipping around in the sea and in the wind. 15, 10, 5, 2, 1, and then it just appears in the window. So Wayne grabs it.
There's a lot of weight, bearing in mind that the ship was still moving ahead quite fast. So it took a lot of holding on to.
I grabbed hold of it in my right hand, and the ship started to roll, and it pulled me out of the raft.
And as soon as he got hold of it, obviously we dropped, the ship went up, and he got catapulted straight out of the life raft.
It was about a 15-foot climb up the ladder to the gangway, and I got to the top. I was about a metre away from the ship, and I thought to myself, I've come up the wrong side of the ladder, I'm supposed to be around the other side. And with that, the whole gangway just slammed up against the side of the ship. There's just a big clash. I was pretty lucky I didn't go around the other side, because I'd probably been cut in half or something. The adrenaline was still pumping. I was walking up the gangway, sort of pulling myself up. I got to the top and just grabbed the first one who I come across, and I said, "Thanks, but I've got 3 mates back down there."
Joby gets to go, and he's close to just going for it. And he's obviously plucked up the courage enough to risk it. I just remember getting on the rope ladder and making it, as strong a grip as my hands would ever do. And so I was climbing up, and then suddenly realised I'm flying towards the wall, and we just smash into this boat.
I remember saying thank you about 400 times to the people that walked me back inside on the boat, and it's just really relief to get there, but then still that little bit of a worry, because I was the second off, there's 2 more of us to come off, and being on that boat with not all 4 of us would have been really hard.
When I felt I had the chance, I had to reach and lunge with one arm to get hold of the rope ladder. It was very nerve-wracking, because again this boat was swinging this rope ladder and me away from the side of the ship. It was really, really hairy still, and we had to get it right again. One slip and that would have been curtains.
I just got to the top, put me in the bath, and I remember my legs were sort of really convulsing almost, and then just got out of the bath, and we just looked at each other, and no one even said anything. We just didn't need to, because we looked at each other, and you knew there's no point in talking about what just happened, because we all knew what had happened. And we just had this, it's just like, and that was it.
Scilly Boys challenge has ended. We're going to hear from some people who are still coming to terms with the shock that after all of the training, after all the work that they've been put in, it's all fallen apart. But the good news, they are safe, and the lads were in the water.
The fact that the challenge is off, the shock must be terrible for them.
It's a bit like a dream, really. It doesn't seem to have really happened. It doesn't seem like we've been away at all. It's just, I don't know, just a little dream that we had, or nightmare. Whichever way you want to look at it. I don't know, I just feel like there's real unfinished business there.
I'm really disappointed we didn't finish it, but there's a lot of people that wouldn't have even tried it, which I've got to try and remember.
Absolutely glad we had a go. But just wasn't to be. People have been really good and supportive, you know, and said that we did well. I don't know what would have happened if we'd actually made it.
You know, you thought he'd turn up, but don't know when. Unbelievable. Just a surreal moment. Just can't really describe it, it's just a weird emotion. Look at that. Unbelievable. At a personal level, I can see the boat now and I know that it has a beginning and an end and I can move on with it. We could have been stuck in there, that could have been a coffin. It would have been a morbid, horrible thing. But it was actually the thing that kept us safe in the challenge and then gave us enough time to survive. I hadn't had a way to understand it until seeing the boat. It makes you appreciate how lucky we were, really. People ask me how I'm feeling and people ask me if I'd row again. And that's on the quay on St Mary's, that's a flippant answer, it's a throwaway comment, but if I'm standing next to the boat and I'm thinking about it, what we did, someone asks me if I row again, I say, no chance.
To sit there, let life pass you by without taking on a challenge. These guys took on that challenge and they took it on 100% and more. And they put themselves and their lives on the line to go after that dream. If you don't ever reach out into the unknown, then life hasn't really got that much meaning. One thing that makes us so special is our human spirit, our spirit of adventure, and to go after goals and achieve things. If we didn't do that, then we'd simply be spectators in life.